as we talk. While being the Star Wars buffs that we are, we came to a realization that Adolf Eichmann and Ellie Weasel's relationships, situations, and mindsets were very similar to the ones with Anakin Skywalker. Well, we will be using the conflicts, events, and inter-character relationships to express the discovery of this analogy.
Remember back to your early teachings. All who gain power are afraid to lose it, even the Jedi.
The Jedi use their power for good.
Good is a point of view, Anakin. The Sith and the Jedi are similar in almost every way, including their quest for power.
The Sith rely on their passion for their strength.
And the Jedi don't?
The Jedi are selfless. They only care about others.
Did you ever hear about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis of the Wise?
No.
I thought not. It's not a story the Jedi would tell you. It's a Sith legend. Darth Plagueis was a Dark Lord of the Sith who lived many years ago. He was so powerful and so wise that he could use the Force to influence the midichlorians to create life. He had such a knowledge of the dark side that he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying.
You could do that? You could actually save people from death?
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
Well, what happened to him?
He became so powerful, the only thing he was afraid of was losing his power, which eventually, of course, he did. Unfortunately, he's taught his apprentice everything he knew, and then, one night, his apprentice killed him in his sleep. It's ironic that he could save others from death, but not himself.
Is it possible to learn this power?
Not from a Jedi.
As you can see in this scene, Anakin was captivated by the Sith because he believed that it would be possible to save the most important things in his universe, Padme, if he learned their ways. Likewise, towards the end of night, Ellie was tempted by the thought of leaving his father to fend for himself, because if he was gone, Ellie would have a much better chance of survival. However, after his father's death, Ellie realized that his father was the only thing he was living for. Adolf Eichmann was enchanted by the Nazi Party's ideology and nationalism, but was mainly looking for a job so he could support himself and his family. Each of these men wanted to protect the most important person or people in his life.
Okay, so why do you guys think Eichmann believed the Nazis were good? Like, why didn't he understand that what they were doing is wrong?
Well, it might have been kind of like in the girl that we read about changes at school, how she was just really, she wanted to make her be stronger, so it could have been like that.
I guess that he thought the Nazis were trying to save their own people.
Kenneth, it sounds like you're talking to yourself.
Sounds like, or like, the Nazis are trying.
Right.
Okay, they were trying to protect their own people from like other areas around them.
They're trying to make Germany better.
Okay.
What do you think Eichmann would have done had he not joined the Nazis? Like, what would have been his career path, or where would his life have gone?
Because he originally was just a simple average man, but since he had saw a Nazi Party propaganda, he really enjoyed it, and when he lost his job, he asked for help from the Nazis. So if he hadn't had that option, what do you think he could have done?
In the packet it said I think he was working in oil rig or something. I think he might have just continued that instead of joining with them.
How could he claim his actions of killing Jews help his country, which was one of the main reasons why he joined the Nazi Party? So how was he able to say that doing all those horrible things was helping?
Well, they kind of like brainwashed a lot of people into thinking that the Jews were the whole problem. So that was kind of the common idea for a lot of people, was that get rid of the Jews, get rid of the problem. So yeah, I guess he thought the same way.
Alright, so this is scene 2.
So we need to get...
Alright, so we need some volunteers, Rosemary, Osvaldo, Wiley, and Lizzie.
Did I say yes?
Okay.
Alright.
Someone wanted it.
I know what that is.
She has the phone now.
Oh, we all got it. Yeah, all right, go.
Twisted by the dark side, young Skywalker has become. The boy you train, gone he is, consumed by Darth Vader.
When was the last time you saw him?
Yesterday.
Do you know where he is now?
No?
Padme, I need your help. He is in grave danger.
From the Sith?
From himself. Padme, Anakin has turned to the dark side.
You're wrong. How can you even say that?
I've seen a security hologram of him killing younglings.
Oh.
No, not Anakin. He couldn't.
He was deceived by a lie. And all of us. It appears that the Chancellor is behind everything, including the war. After the death of Count Dooku, Anakin became his new apprentice.
I don't believe you. I can't.
Padme, I must find him.
You're going to kill him, aren't you?
He has become a great threat. Anakin is the father, isn't he? Sorry.
Obi-Wan, there is still good in him. I know, still.
Because Padme, okay, end the scene, and then Padme dies after giving childbirth, and this was like right before her death. I remember this part.
Alright, go back to your seat.
Wiley went right into that big desk.
In this scene, we saw Anakin turning against younglings, though he had once been in their shoes and knew many of them personally. He was willing to murder them in cold blood because it allowed him to gain the Chancellor's trust, which in his mind got him one step closer to saving Padme. In night, Isaac was a Capo, a fellow prisoner given administrative authority. In spite of this, he had no qualms beating Ellie and the other prisoners multiple times simply because he could get away with it. Eichmann created the system to slaughter over 6 million Jews, even though his childhood best friend was Jewish. Despite that former friendship, Eichmann climbed the ladder of Nazi hierarchy through his views about the Jewish problem and implementation of the final solution. So what may have caused Eichmann to be cold-blooded towards people who were like his childhood friend? Like what changed him to make him think that way?
The propaganda and like the crowd, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, they're bad. You don't want to be different. And also, he might have believed it. And
Maybe when he started out, he felt like he had no other place to go besides get into this really safe and secure Nazi party. They kind of promised him like a future, and so he kind of went in there, and then eventually just got taken over, and he sided with the Nazis.
If Eichmann's orders were to kill people like him, let's say Christians or his fellow people, do you think he would have been able to execute them as well as he did with Jews? Jason?
No.
And why?
Oh, because it's like, it's hard to kill someone that's, you know, similar to you. He wasn't Jewish, so he didn't have like anything in common besides on his person.
Oh.
And like it's easy to hate people that are different because you can't accept it. So you probably wouldn't have been able to do it if they were like him.
And what may have caused Eichmann to suddenly change his point of view on Jews?
Like, what caused him to change from having a Jewish best friend to being able to kill those people? Wiley?
I think because he was desperate.
Oh.
Marco?
Because he found out, like, he believed what the Nazis were saying and, you know, kind of came to realize that they were the problem.
Brianna?
I think he just saw like how powerful the Nazis were, how strong they were, and how everyone was scared of them.
I think it was like the influence from the Nazis because they really had the most control. So he easily
Like if he could have said no, then they easily could have killed him.
Miguel?
Well, I was gonna say that like the idea of power, like being able to obtain it through that view, would be like would corrupt him, kind of like Anakin Skywalker.
Was there any indication in the reading packet that he was not powerful before he got tempted by this great power? Was there anything in the packet that indicated that he could have felt weak and a failure or not powerful?
Well, if he was only like a oil factory worker, or then he wouldn't have had as much power as if he had been like part of this huge like ever-growing party, and he'd be able to like work his way up to the hierarchy. Okay, so he's in charge of like all these different things. So it's definitely a more powerful position than anything that he could have been as a factory worker.
Is there any other indication in the packet that he faced failure in his life?
Well, not necessarily dangerous, but it says here in under Eichmann's early years that he was a poor student, and that his father was the commercial manager of.
You're talking to yourself. You have to speak up.
It says that he was a poor student, and that his father was a commercial manager of some electronics company, and that his mother died when he was 10, and so that could like really affect you, like make you feel like alone.
Well, his dad was a manager, yeah, and then he lost his mom when he was young. His dad was a manager, and he was failing at school. He was a bad student in school, so.
So this is some.
What, does it say anything else?
He dropped out of high
He
school.
dropped out of high school. So they have a different educational model over there. So basically, if you don't pass, you get these tests right around the time that you guys like leave 7th, 8th grade, right around there. You get tests over there. In England, they're called the A's and the B's. You get them once, like just as you're about to start high school, but I think it's a little bit earlier than when we start high school. And you get them again when you're almost done with high school. And if you fail those exams, you don't go on. So if you fail your first exams, you don't continue in an academic high school. You go to the trades and you learn a trade.
Traveling as salesman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe the whole that his dad was a manager thing. If his mom died, he might have been more connected with his dad, and then he wanted to be more like his dad and have more things going on to control people and stuff like that. And he kind of wanted to like mimic his dad or like follow in his footsteps. And he thought that maybe the best way to do that would be to join a big organization.
That's a good point.
Ms. Barry?
About what you were saying, kind of, a family friend invited them to a meeting of the Nazi Party, and it says he was entranced by the nationalistic fervor. So, and then he signed up, and after he got laid off from his job, he went back to the family friend who took them to the meeting, and he got a job with, he was accepted into an SS brigade. So.
I mean, so that's a failure too, right? If you, I mean, getting laid off from your job means they didn't say, you misbehaved or you made a mistake, you're fired. They just say, we don't have any more work for you, but you're out of work. So it's a big failure. Yeah, so, I mean, if you're feeling like that last question that you asked, if you're feeling not too powerful, I'm being sarcastic. If you're feeling like nobody, like nothing, or very small, like in psychology, it's called having a very small ego. If you have a compromised ego, a small ego, they're not talking about the word ego in that sense as like you're egotistical and selfish. They mean that in the sense that all people should have a strong, healthy ego, meaning sense of self, identity, like the poem on the test, a sense of self, right? So if you have a really small, crushed ego, then if a big organization, that sounds really cool and it will give you a rank in it right away, and you'll be part of this powerful group. It's going to be very convincing. It'll be very seductive to you. Yeah.
Okay, so on to scene 3.
You
You've allowed the Dark Lord to twist your mind. Until now, you become the very thing you swore to destroy.
Don't lecture me, Obi-Wan. I see through the lies of the Jedi. I do not fear the dark side as you do. I brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new empire.
Your new empire?
Don't make me kill you.
Oh.
Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy.
If you're not with me, you're my enemy.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Oh.
I will do what I must.
You will try.
You were the chosen one. It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them. You were to bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness.
I hate you.
You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you.
You turned against me.
You have done that with yourself.
You will not take her from me.
Your anger and lust for power have already done that.
Alright. In this scene, Obi-Wan confronts Anakin about how much good he could have done if he had stayed a Jedi. Anakin is blinded by his new obsession with power and blames Obi-Wan for not siding with him and for turning Padme against him. Had he been able to see the truth, Anakin could have brought unfathomable prosperity to the Jedi. Like Anakin, Eichmann was oblivious to the pain and misfortune he brought upon the Jewish people. He was by then so twisted by Nazi and anti-Semitism that he no longer saw the Jews as humans, but as pests needing extermination. If he were able to see through the lies, the final solution might never have been created, and millions of lives could have been spared.
What do you think Eichmann could have accomplished if he had been on the opposing side?
Miguel?
Well, like Maddie said, that he could have done a lot better. He could have, instead of like doing all those really cool experiments on the Jews, he maybe could have actually cured like a disease that affects a lot of people. Instead of doing something like that.
Sam?
Maybe not just the opposing side, but maybe even if he was a bystander. I know that bystanding wasn't the greatest thing. A lot of people argue that bystanding was the reason that the Holocaust happened, or that it went so far. But if he was just a bystander and they didn't have his intellect in their system, probably it wouldn't have been as a huge effect that he brought because of his prowess with all the managing everything.
Yeah, I'm going to question something you said, Sam, and because you're using really big words, and I laud you for doing that, but when people use the word intellect, or like what you're suggesting, Miguel, come up with a new cure for something, is there any indication that Eichmann had higher education and a mind that could work like that from his biography?
No.
Okay, so, but the other thing that you said, that he had this ability to manage things. Okay, so, and his dad was a manager too, so he grew up watching that. When you manage things, you're managing supplies, numbers of freight cars, freight train cars, numbers of guys assigned to each freight train car, how much fuel the train's going to need. When you're managing numbers like that, I would argue that that does not take intellect. That just takes organizational skills. You have to be really good at making lists of things and making sure you've checked off all your lists. You've got everything organized. What were you going to say?
I know it doesn't say this in the packet, but there's a lot of people who are really smart who are just not into school. Meaning they won't put their full potential into school.
That's
and
true.
They could want to use their intellect for something else. Like a lot of singer-songwriters, maybe they weren't the best at school, but they have really great brains and really wired to think creatively.
That's true.
So I mean, you never really know if he was really that smart. Maybe he just didn't try. But what it says in the packet, you would probably assume that he wasn't the smartest man.
I don't know, actually, from the packet. Yeah, it's hard to tell. He may have just not wanted to do that type of book learning. Yeah, that's not actually clear. We would have to do more in-depth research on him. And there is a lot on him because he was interviewed by a whole team of psychologists during his trial. There's a lot of information on him that I just didn't put together for you guys. There's more out there. I guess what I'm questioning your diction. If you want to say that he had huge talent at managerial, organizational kind of activities, I would agree. I second that. If you say that he had a huge intellect, I don't see evidence of that. So the question, unless we find it, unless we find that secretly actually he had a really high IQ and he just failed school because he was bored there. I just don't have that piece of information yet, you know what I mean? But I think that given that we do know that he was really good at organizing things, I think that's where the question is headed. If he didn't do what he was doing organizationally for the Nazis, say he did that kind of organizational stuff for the other side, or for a resistance movement, how successful would he have been? What could he have achieved in a resistance movement? You see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Alright, so what traits of Eichmann's, other than his organizational skills that we were just talking about, would have been useful if you were against the Nazis? So what other traits of his, or personality?
He seemed pretty persistent.
Yeah,
Kind
determined.
of.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, most people kind of jumped around jobs while they were part of it, but they said he stuck with one thing the entire time. And he obviously got a lot done. And if he was part of the resistance to the Nazis, that probably could have proven really helpful in getting stuff done and like moving it forward.
Not giving up.
Not giving up.
So when he's in a position of power, obviously he had to have some sort of leadership ability in order to get that high up, and then also to command so many people. He has to inspire and lead generally. So, so if he was in the resistance, he probably could have been a really like looked up to leader and like kind of spearheading the resistance. So, and he could have also had a lot of organizing the different attacks and like blowing up railroads and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, you have to do timetables and how many people are going to be there and what's going to be there and how many people do we need and how do we get everything together? How do we sneak everything around all of the people watching us, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially if you're undercover and you're way outmanned, you don't really have any weapons you can get legally. It takes a lot of time and thought to kind of get everything to fit perfectly, like when the bombs are going to come and like how we're going to pick those up with only 3 people that we have for working or like on this mission. So like it takes a lot to manage when you have such little to do and a lot or such little personnel, and then lots of things to do.
Alright, so for the next scene we're gonna need a volunteer.
Miguel.
Hey, yo.
They're so
What did you really volunteer?
They volunteered for me. Who am I?
Hold on.
I've become taller.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god! It really hurts.
What have I done?
You are fulfilling your destiny, Anakin. Become my apprentice. Learn to use the dark side of the Force. There's no turning back now.
I will do whatever you ask. Just help me save Padme's life. I can't live without her. If she dies, I don't know what to do.
To cheat death is a power only one has achieved through centuries of the study of the Force. But if we work together, I know we can discover the secret to eternal life.
I pledge myself to your teachings.
Good.
To the ways of the
Good. The Force is strong with you, Anakin Skywalker. A powerful Sith you will become. Henceforth, you shall be known as Darth Vader.
Thank you, my master.
Lord Vader, rise.
Whoa, Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader?
Are you serious?
Oh my god.
Are you serious?
I hate Star Wars.
In this scene, Anakin has just betrayed Mace Windu, a Jedi of legendary status. This marks the beginning of his transformation into the figurehead of the Empire, Darth Vader, and the main adversary of the Jedi. After his absorption into the SS, Eichmann worked his way into positions with more and more power, eventually ending up as a Nazi SS lieutenant colonel, and implementing the final solution for disposing of millions of Jews. Both men became the lead forces behind their respective parties' act of cruelty.
Do you think Eichmann always knew deep down that he was doing something bad and was simply ignoring his conscience?
We never know.
Yeah.
I don't think really he understood what bad really was, like in this context, because I mean I don't think if he could kill, like organize a final solution to kill 6 million Jews, I don't think you're gonna actually know that you're doing something wrong.
We have a group by the way that's cooking up a really good lesson right now that's gonna deal with like what was going on in Eichmann's mind. We have a group in this class that they found some material that you guys can look at, like what was Eichmann thinking?
Did someone ever ask him that?
He's been interviewed. This group has located one of his like responses.
But yeah, he probably thought what he was doing was right, helping Germany, getting rid of the problem. He probably didn't think it was.
Sam.
Anyway, so going back to the propaganda, yeah, his perception of right and wrong was probably so twisted by the time that he rose up the ranks. He just kind of, everything was out of whack, so to speak. So, probably he probably just, since he didn't see, or I assume that he didn't see all of these Jews like go to their death, he probably just thought of it as like animals, as they said, or as objects being thrown in the trash, as opposed to people dying. And that's probably how he remained loyal to what he was doing with like completely awful people.
Okay, so this will be our final scene.
It's like, I see it now.
We're so technological.
Good. Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
Obi-Wan has taught you well.
I will not fight you, Father.
You are unwise to lower your defenses.
Your thoughts betray you, Father. I feel the good in you, the conflict.
There is no conflict.
You couldn't bring yourself to kill me before, and I don't think I believe you'll destroy me now.
You underestimate the power of the dark side. You will not fight, then you'll meet your destiny.
Good, good.
Do not fight forever, Luke.
I will not fight you.
Get yourself to the dark side. It is the only way you can save your friends. Yes, your thoughts betray you. Your feelings for them are strong, especially for your sister. So, you have a twin sister. Your feelings have now betrayed her. Obi-Wan was wise to hide her from me. Now his failure is complete. If you will not come to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
Never!
Good. Your hate has made you powerful. Now fulfill your destiny and take your father's place at my side.
Wait, so Darth Vader's arms cut off?
Never. I'll never turn to the dark side. You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
So be it, my Jedi. If you will not be turned, you will be destroyed. Young fool, only now again do you understand. Your feeble skills are no match for my power. Of the dark side, you have paid the price for your lack of vision.
Father, please, help me.
Now, young Skywalker, you will die.
Oh wait, so he becomes good. Oh.
God.
No, it's dumb.
Help me take this mask off.
But you'll die.
Nothing can stop that now. Just for once. Let me look on you with my own eyes.
So ugly.
coming with me. I can't leave you here. I've got to save you.
You already have, Luke. You're right about me. Tell your sister, you were right.
Father, I won't leave you. So, what not seen it, but I mean.
Towards the end of this battle, Luke is trapped by the Emperor, completely helpless. He cries out for his father, who, shifting his alliance yet again, kills the Emperor and saves his son. Anakin, being mortally wounded, then dies, reconciled with his son. In night, Ellie stays with his father until the bitter end, despite multiple people tell him to save himself and leave his father to die. Though in his mind he wanted to keep his father's rations to give himself a greater chance of survival, Ellie made the selfless choice and tried valiantly to save his father, proving to himself that he is not like Rabbi Elihu's son, and that he was faithful to his family. Unlike these two men, there was no redemption for Eichmann. He never admitted his wrongdoing, choosing instead to fight against the charges against him under the cowardly defense of just following orders.
Why do you think Eichmann stood by his actions and didn't try to redeem himself like Darth Vader and Ellie did? Sam?
Well, at that point, how can you redeem yourself? Because you already killed 6 million people. It's not like there's anything you can say or do that's gonna take all that back. So, I mean, he probably shouldn't have stood his ground and said that what he did was right, because it looked like even more of a jerk. But it's not like he's gonna save himself from getting hanged or hung.
And he was, I thought he was burned. His ashes were scattered.
He was
Yeah,
hung and then
but
cremated.
redeeming
No, he
yourself
was
does not
killed.
mean saving yourself.
Well, I know, but like redeeming like his
Exactly.
so, yeah, I mean,
Taking the back.
well, you can't.
No, redeeming yourself, or it does not mean taking what you did back.
Like,
Yeah. He
it
couldn't
means
take
like
it back.
making yourself in the good again, right? Before you
Yeah.
bring yourself in the good. I
Redeeming
don't,
yourself means to somehow come to grips with what you did.
well,
Atoning for what you did is something different, meaning you actually begin to do actions that make up for it somehow. Or you do actions that somehow, atonement is like forgiveness in action, seeking forgiveness through actions. Redemption is like a sense that you know what you did is wrong.
Miguel?
I don't know a lot about psychology, but when you plan to kill 6 million people, Jews or not, I think that the only way you could possibly live with yourself is to think that you're doing something right and committing that action. And so that, I think that's what he did. Like, not necessarily on purpose, but deep down inside, he knew that that's the only way he could possibly live with himself. Ironically, he was in that.
I think he thought like it was the right thing, like kind of what Miguel said, like, because Hitler was helping the country so much, and like he thought it was the right thing. He wanted to help his country and like help his people.
honestly, if at some point he just like found out, or like he just all of a sudden came to grips with what he was doing was wrong, I don't think he would have made it to the trial. I think he probably would have just couldn't live with himself and probably just like committed suicide or something, or like did something to that effect. Because like that's a lot of wrong. Like, I mean, you can like say that, oh, you know, I stole a candy bar, like that was wrong, but you can't brush off the fact that you killed 6 million people, or organized, you didn't kill them yourself, but like you set them up for death. You can't really live with the fact that it is wrong. So.
Okay, so this all goes back to this question, and which is what the big argument has been about. Was this person a mass murderer?
Yeah.
You know, and if he is, like, that's what Miguel said, I don't know enough about psychology, but like if a person is a mass murderer, a serial killer, there's another expression you guys should probably all take down into your notes. well, you said he didn't kill him himself, but he organized it, right? So that's called killing by proxy, and you're still considered a serial killer. If you kill by proxy, you set up others to kill for you, or you set up situations. Sometimes it's not actually another human being, but you set up traps that kill a person. That's called killing by proxy, Latin expression in law. It still means you're killing though, yeah. And that's the issue. Was he a mass murderer, or was he a colonel, which is one step away from, it's the last step before general. Was he a colonel of an army, or was he a mass murderer?
I think if he were a colonel, that would mean they were going against, it would be more like going against another army, right? If the Jews weren't fighting back, they were just killing.
I feel like he's kind of both. I feel like he's kind of both because in the Nazi regime, when anyone who was like even associated with the concentration camps probably has some blood on their hands. Not necessarily like he was a colonel, and he fought with a brigade for a little bit before he went up and started organizing the final solution. So he's a little bit of both, but I feel like towards the end of his time, he became just a straight murderer, and yeah.
Okay,
Alrighty.
that's it.